Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Antonio Alanís, and I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist. And in today's discussion, I want to talk about a continuating thought or idea from a previous video about how, as an artist, I am responding to essentially second Trump administration and all the ideas that are happening and I'm responding to. And in one of the video segments, I talked a lot about how we can use literature as a reader, how I can think that, again, literature and ideas are a continuing opportunity to resist. And I wanted to talk about some books that can hopefully continue to answer those questions or start or completely answer, not sure. But this video, I want to pretty much do a book haul and talk about the books that I have, books that I just got, and continue to think about how, as an artist, I can respond to hate and to all the things that are happening. If you all will love to, if you all would like to see that video that I'm mentioning, you can look it up and you can watch that as well. You don't have to watch that to watch this, but if you are interested more about the questions that I raise around how can artists continue to respond, or how me as an artist I am responding, that can be a starting point to how I started this video. So let's start with the first one. The first one is called Mexico at the World's Fairs, Crafting a Modern Nation. And this is from Mauricio Tenorio Trillo. And this is a book I got in a museum. The museum is called the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago. And I got it because I thought it was, one, very colorful. It's lime green, and I said, I want to read it. And I start to look at the description of the book, and I thought it was interesting. One, I got it because, and I think this whole video is about this. Going back to the original question, is how, as an artist, can I stand against hate? Essentially, all the things that are happening and the attacks in our community. And for me to know what I can do as someone who understands the importance of history and what has happened, I also want to ground those questions into what has happened before. And I'm not sure if these books will do that. I'm not sure if these are the quintessential books to read and answer those questions or ground the questions that I have. But I think it's an important start, an important step in beginning to answer. I got this book primarily because, one, I want to know where Mexico has been in the world stage artistically, and what other way than to study that through the world's fairs. I'll read you a little bit of why this book is important to my research. It's called Mexico at the World's Fairs. And actually, this book does not have a description, but apparently, I'll just read the contents. It's divided into two parts. One, the Porfirian Mexico and the World Fairs. And the second part is the World Fairs in Mexico after the Revolution of 1910. Again, why is this book important? This book talks about Mexican politics. To me, what I've found out is that politics and art are not separate. They're one. They are tied. They're linked. And for me to read that this book talks a lot about Porfirian Mexico and revolutionary Mexico post 1910 shows that this is another opportunity for me to learn about how artists have responded to the world and to the country, in the country, to a regime such as Porfirio Diaz, and how they have also responded to using the arts as a revolutionary tool. Again, I think it's important. I think it's great. I know very little about Mexican World Fair history, and I think it can be a good opportunity to go back to the 1800s, the 19th century, and to situate my practice and historical reference. I know very little about artists and what they did, even if I don't even know if they were actually revolutionary or if they were advocating for social causes or advocating for justice. That's a good question that I have, but I think it's a good start. Do you want to read the back of the book? It says, the UC Press Voices Revived commemorates University of California Press's mission to seek out and cultivate the brightest minds and give them a voice, reach, and impact. Drawing on a backlist dating to 1893, Voices Revived makes high-quality, peer-reviewed scholarship accessible, once again using print-on-demand technology. I really love this part. Says, reviving formerly out-of-print works that advance knowledge and drive change. So that is the question, right? How can the arts, how can literature, how can the writers, the artists drive change? UC Press, Voices Revived. Mexico at the World's Fairs, Crafting a Modern Nation. It's a dense book. It looks like it's about 253 pages. Might be a scholarly, I think it is a scholarly book. I don't know if it's the most, not the most, but I wonder if there's another book that is more accessible than this. The thing about me, everyone, is I'm not an art historian. I did not go to school for art history. I don't claim to be an art historian. I am an artist who wants to know how I can use the arts. But I also understand that my questions can benefit from having a historical context. And I appreciate these books. One, I appreciate that the National Museum of Mexican Art has the book, or had it. This video, by the way, it's not connected to them at all. It's not sponsored. I just came, purchased the book, and everything is really my opinion. It does not represent the museums or the museum at all. I want to be very clear about that. That's that one. I will be reading it and skimming it and so forth with that being said. I do have another book here, which is more of a catalog, called the José Guadalupe Posada Aguilar. Again, from the National Mexican Museum of Art. Here, it's a very nice, love the feel. Again, I wanted to buy this catalog because José Guadalupe Posada has been an inspiration with a lot of his work the past decades, not only in my craft, but also in many other artists throughout the international Mexican-American or United States relationships. His work continues to influence, and I think it's important to learn about how this artist, whether he was a activist artist or not, I'm not sure. I want to learn more about how he used his craft to talk about issues, to talk about things that were important to him and his business, his press. And I think that as an artist, I can benefit from how he used his art as a tool to inform, to possibly drive change. I'm not sure if he did that, if he used his art to advocate for someone or for people. But as far as I understand, he has used his work to do that. I may be wrong, not sure. But I think it's important to continue to bring in artists who have already done this in their work. José Guadalupe Posada, again, it's a catalog. It says here in the book that it was published and distributed by the Mexican Fine Arts Center Museum, 1852 West 19th Street, Chicago, Illinois. I'm not sure if this particular catalog is available in other stores or other places, but I think it's a good opportunity to have. Again, it's always great to put some context historically. Who was Posada? I know some things about Posada. I know that he used his artwork to complement a lot of the print material that was happening in Mexico during his time and his life. So I want to learn. I have some questions about him, how he used his work to educate, to inform. I'm not sure if the book will do that or the catalog will do that, but I think that it's a good start. As far as I know, everyone, I know that Posada has used his work to talk about social commentary and talk about things that were happening during his life or his time. Again, it's the important part of learning about what other artists have done historically. I think that for me, one, I love learning about what other artists are doing in a more contemporary sense in 2025 when this is filmed. But also, what were other artists doing in the 19th century or even the 20th century and so forth? Calavera prints, they're some of the most iconic. I've really loved seeing his work and how his art continues to influence a lot of the things that are happening. And some of these same problems that are happening back then and now are still happening. Again, how is he reflecting society in Mexico in his works? And what can I learn from Sala that I can also use in my work? Again, I'm not sure he was a teacher, but I will use his work as a tool to learn from, to further inform my practice as an artist. José Guadalupe Posada Aguilar catalog. It's available for everyone. I hope it's available for everyone. It is in English, really colorful, has a lot of fun prints, a lot of fun artwork. I love the feel of the paper. I don't know if you can hear it, but it feels so, it's very sturdy paper. So this is the second one that I want to show you all. This third is, this one is, I bought also in Chicago. I bought the next three books in a bookstore called the Pilsen Community Books. You can find more about their work in pilsencommunitybooks.com. They are located in 1102 West 18th Street in Chicago, Illinois, here in the United States. It says that it was established in 2016 and it is worker owned and operated since 2020. Check it out. This is the bookmark they gave me and all the information. We'd like to take a screenshot of this and learn more about the Pilsen Community Books. It's an amazing bookstore. Really liked it. I was able to go in and read more what they have available. Again, it goes back to the same question. What are bookstores doing to combat the things that are happening? This book here is called Culture and Imperialism. I was really interested because I will read the description to you all. Going back to my original question, what is the historical context of how artists, writers have responded to what was happening in their time? And this is what the book says. It says, in the 19th and early 20th centuries, as the Western powers built empires that stretched from Australia to the West Indies, Western artists created masterpieces ranging from Mansfield Park to Heart of Darkness and Aida. And most cultural critics continue to see these phenomena as separate. So this paragraph right here caught my attention so much because, again, how am I situating my work in what has happened in the past? So 19th and 20th centuries. So as people were expanding, as empires were growing and stretching, there were artists responding to this imperialism. I'm not sure they were against or for. That's a question that I have. And they mentioned some of the cultural productions that had happened. The last sentence in this paragraph says, yet most cultural critics continue to see these phenomena as separate. So again, the empires, the historical part of empires being built, and artists creating masterpieces based on the book, and how separate they are, meaning that they're not looked at the same time. And I want to talk a little bit about this sentence because as an artist, I always find this perspective missing in the general sense of what's happening. And I think it's important to always include artists. What are artists doing on the side or within the movement to respond to what was happening? And it raises awareness to me. It raises the need to include artists' perspectives and what's happening. And as an artist myself, I want to learn more about what artists were doing and continue to do. So let's continue. This landmark book by the author of Orientalism draws dramatic connections between the imperial endeavor and the culture that both reflected and reinforced it. At the same time, Edward Said, I don't know how to pronounce the person's last name, also examines the work of such writers such as W.B. Yeats, Chinua Achebe, and Salman Rushdie to show how subject peoples produce their own vigorous culture of opposition and resistance. So here's the words that I was looking for. How people have used art to resist, how they have used the arts to oppose. It says, vast in scope and stunning in erudition, culture and imperialism reopens the dialogue between literature and the life of its time. So again, everyone, I had to get this book. I know very little about, again, how the artists were responding in the 19th and 20th centuries to the world. And I think this is going to be an interesting read, how writers, Chinua Achebe, responded to outside powers. So again, how they have responded to imperialism. Culture and Imperialism by Edward W. Said. Check it out. And if you read it, let me know what you think about it. I have not read it. I will look at it. And again, might be a little too dense from the work here that I'm seeing and reading. But I think it's a good opportunity to learn more about this. Let me see when this book was published. So it was published in 1993, copyright 1993, and looks like it's been brought back for publishing. The publisher is Vintage Books, division of Penguin Random House, New York. So there you go, everyone. Looking to put a historical context. What are artists or how are writers responding to imperialism in their time? The second book is called Art and Revolution, this one right here. And I just wanted to learn more about how art has been used to advance social causes. This book right here is important. As someone who has enjoyed visiting Mexico and seeing a lot of the muralist work in the muralism, I've been really captivated by the social messages that they have carried. And this Diego Rivera mural on the front just got my attention. And again, I want to learn from other people, other writers, other philosophers, how they believe the art can be a tool to advance social causes. It says writings on literature, politics, and culture. And I just wanted to read it. Let me tell you more information about this book. It's called, again, Art and Revolution, copyright 1970 by Pathfinder Press. And the first edition was 1970, second edition was 1972. The fourth printing was in 1992, and the 21st printing in 2024. So, anyways, let me read a little bit of the contents. It's divided into two parts. One is called Critical Theory, And the second one is Essays and Literary Criticism. So again, it talks a lot about how the arts can use, or how the artists can use the arts to provide social commentary, to educate. And I think it's an important part of how I can also further improve my art. So, Art and Revolution. Here you go. Check it out. The thing about Art and Revolution is, again, the historical context of why I'm doing what I'm doing, to understand that I'm not creating art in a vacuum, that art like this has already passed and already has been happening. Artists before me have been doing this for centuries. So how can I learn from artists, from authors, from poets who have already used the art as a tool for change? Going back to the UC Press Voices Revive, how they can use this to drive change. And what does change mean? We can go on and talk about change. And of course, everyone, the fourth book, or the last book, is the classic Borderlands, La Frontera. This is by the author Gloria Anzaldúa. And I bought it because I've read some of Anzaldúa's work, and I know that people have on social media talked about the book for so long, for so many years. And I bought this book because I want to give myself the chance to read it as well. From the little bit that I know and understand, talks a lot about working from and within a border. Now, I'm not a literary critic, I'm not an art historian, but I still wanted to use and read this book to inform my writing, my art, as an artist who lives in the metaphorical borders between the United States and Mexico. I don't live in a border town, but still where I work, between cultures, between languages, that is a metaphorical space or border, working with people of diverse languages, of diverse perspectives, of diverse cultural backgrounds. And I wanted to learn this. I wanted to learn more about this. Now that I think about this book, I think I do have a copy of it that I started reading years ago, but I don't have this edition, 5th edition, available. Let me give you more information about the book. The book is called again Borderlands, La Frontera, La New Mestiza by Gloria Anzaldúa, and it is a 5th edition published by Aunt Loot Books in San Francisco. It was published in 1997 and copyrighted 1987, and it is available. It has some of the book has Atravesando Fronteras, Crossing Borders, the first section, and then the second section is called Un agitado viento, ejecatl, so wind. Again, it's going to be an opportunity for me to learn about how someone like Anzaldúa has used art as a tool. I wonder so many things, and I will definitely read it. I want to read the back part, which is called Chicana Studies, Women's Studies, and says, the U.S.-Mexican border es una herida abierta where the third world grates against the first and bleeds. Herida abierta meaning open wound. And before a scab forms, it hemorrhages again, the lifeblood of two worlds merging to form a third country, a border culture. So just the poetic language, just so captivating to me. And then the description says, rooted in Gloria Anzaldúa's experience as a Chicana, a lesbian, an activist, and a writer, the essays and poems in Borderlands, La Frontera, The New Mestiza profoundly challenged and continue to challenge how we think about identity. So again, art, identity are intertwined. How am I using the art to expand on my identity? Borderlands, La Frontera remaps our understanding of what a border is, presenting it not as a simple divide between here and there, us and them, but as a psychic, social, and cultural terrain that we inhabit, and that inhabits all of us. This is just brief description. I don't know what else to say about Anzaldúa's work, but I just look forward to learning more about identity and how a writer like Anzaldúa, a poet like Anzaldúa, has used writing, the written word, to challenge and continue to challenge how we think about identity. This book it's important. It's an awesome book. It reminds me of another book that I read in another local bookstore. I forget the name of the book, but it was The Fix of Identity. And I remember reading the important part of how identity can influence how we see ourselves, and how others see us, how we tell our stories, how other people tell our stories. And I wanted to get that book as well, but I did not. I would like to read these books first before moving on to other books on identity. But again, I think that these books, as we continue to learn that our communities are attacked, that there are book bans, that our authors their works are being banned, I think that these books are an opportunity to push back, opportunity to stand against hate and all these things that are rolling down. Again, everyone, I'm going to just give you all a bit more of the life of an artist as I continue to use these books in my work. I'm not going to really say that I want to make a book club or anything like that. I'm sure that the books that I read will influence my work. And as I continue to work in this space, in this world, I will continue to build my own practice from other people's work as well. Maybe some of their ideas will trickle down to my work. And I think that's the beauty of being an artist, that I can build on what people in the 20th century have done, the 19th century, what they have done. Again, Gloria Anzaldúa's Borderland, La Frontera, seminal book. The next one is, or the first one I talked about was Mexico at the World's Fairs, also available. And the other books are Art and Revolution. Oh, come back. This is just moved. There we go. The camera just left me a minute. But Art and Revolution, Culture and Imperialism. And lastly, the José Guadalupe Posada Aguilar exhibition catalog. Seems to be an exhibition catalog. And I want to thank the bookstores for promoting this work, the bookstores for continuing to use literature as a way to inform our communities. Like I said, these books, in my opinion and my interpretation, are solely mine. They do not represent the institutions that I mentioned. It's primarily what I think. Again, this is an invitation for all of us, all of you, to share the books that you are using to influence or inform your work as an artist. Feel free to let me know under what books you recommend, or maybe you have critiques of these books. If you have other recommendations that you think I could look into, let me know. Again, this is more of how we all can do our part, how I can do my part to stand up against hate through the arts, through the literature, through writing, through holding space. Muchas gracias. Thank you for staying here, and I look forward to continue this work. Have a great rest of your day.